Stocking our shelves before store shelves are empty. What I'm buying now to guard against shortages, rising prices, and economic crisis. Hey guys, it's Jared with Wicked Prepared. Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a prepper pantry haul to share with you. There have been dire warnings of empty shelves incoming over the next few months. The traffic to the ports has dropped off drastically, and there's going to be a dramatic reduction in what's available and what's affordable for our already stretched budgets. We know all too well the pains when the supply chain takes a hit, and it's happening again. There's also the ripple effect with jobs and employment when this happens, because so many jobs are tied in one way or another to the supply chain and the transport of goods. So besides empty shelves, people are also preparing for the possibility of personal economic crisis and ensuring their ability to feed their family in case of lost income. The good news is we've learned a lot over the last 5 years, and more people than ever are serious about preparedness now. So most of us are going to ride this wave pretty easily. Panic buying is not the answer. So if you don't feel fully prepared, don't panic. Just make a conscious effort to add a few extra items, a few extra containers of water, a little something each week, and make it a normal part of your everyday life. This extra cushion of preparedness will serve you well no matter what happens in the future. Today, I'm sharing with you what we've added to our preps and our prepper pantry lately and why. So let's jump in and get started. I'm going to start right over here with some of this stuff here. And first I've got this is a yeast spoon. So if you buy your yeast in bulk like I do, you need to measure out the amount for one packet, the equivalent of one packet, and that's 2 1/4 teaspoons. So this is just a scoop that measures that exact amount. So you only need to scoop and measure once. It's not really necessary, but it was really inexpensive, and I just have wanted one of these for a long, long time. So I grabbed it. Next, I've got these cans of chicken. These are the 12.5-ounce large cans of canned chicken. These are from Sam's Club. This was the best price that I have been able to find on chicken like this. I honestly really love Sam's Club for their prices. I hear so much about Costco, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about Sam's Club. Now, we have not had the opportunity to shop at Costco really because we haven't had one near us, and they did recently build the first one in our state. So I'm thinking I will go check it out and maybe look at what prepping items I can find there and see, maybe take you guys along for the ride. So tell me if you'd like to see a video like that. But in the meantime, what do you think about Costco, about their prices, about their selection? What are your favorite items and prepping items to pick up there? I'm really curious because I really think the pricing and everything is really good at Sam's Club and is really hard to beat. Next, I got this case of Del Monte corn. Now, this was something I had never seen before. I thought this was really interesting. It is Mexican style street corn. So this is obviously just flavored like this. It's not going to be exactly like Mexican street corn. It says spicy and smoky flavored. So I thought this was really, really interesting, and I wanted to try it. I think it could be really good in recipes for, like, I have all kinds of like street corn pasta salad, for instance. I think that using this would add a little bit extra than just adding regular frozen or canned corn. And it could probably add a little bit of extra flavor to a lot of different Tex-Mex recipes. Has anybody ever seen this before, and have you tried it? I'm really excited to try this out. Next, I got a bunch of these ramen cups. Now, I know ramen is not the healthiest option, obviously, but most of us have some kind of ramen noodles in our prepper pantries. It is just something that's so inexpensive and so easy and quick. If you are in an emergency and you weren't expecting it, you just need to boil water. So some of these flavors I found that caught my eye that were different and new are these Totino's flavors. They've got a cheese pizza flavor and a buffalo style chicken pizza flavor. And then they've got the old El Paso ones. They've got a fajita and a beef birria flavor. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm excited to kind of try these. I love ramen noodles, but I don't eat them hardly ever because they're so unhealthy. But sometimes when I'm kind of under the weather, it's actually something that I like to have that's comforting and makes me feel a little bit better. So sometimes I will eat them, and I have teenagers, so we do go through some ramen in this house. I think they'll be excited to try these also. The other few flavors I got were this shiitake mushroom chicken flavor, which is like a Gordon Ramsay brand, I guess. And this ramen bistro, it's a Korean, I don't even know how to say that, gochujang beef. which sounded really interesting. Now, some of these have microwave instructions and hot water instructions. So obviously in an emergency, you would use the hot water instructions. And some of them, like the Old El Paso and the Totinos, they only have microwave instructions, but I know that they will work by pouring hot water over and letting them set, which would be more emergency friendly. Now, even though ramen is notoriously unhealthy, I did notice on some of these that the ingredients did look a little bit better than what you would see in traditional ramen. For instance, I noticed things like coconut oil instead of some of the other types of oil, and paprika extract for color instead of the food dyes. I can also see that I think the fat is lower on these than on a typical ramen. Now, that is part of what makes ramen not 100% perfect for long-term food storage or for your food storage in general, because the fat in it can go rancid a lot faster than regular pasta with no fat. And here I've just got some strawberry apple sauces. My kids love these. These are the little individual serving cups. You want to consider smaller packaging and individual servings when you can, when it comes to preparedness, because you may not want to open a whole container if you can't finish it, because you wouldn't be able to put it in the refrigerator if the power's out. So I actually have 2 more of those down there. So I've got 4 packs of these. And then back here, I've got a bunch of canning jars from Azure Standard, which has become pretty much one of my favorite places to buy canning jars. I love their canning jars. They're great quality. And in a lot of cases, they're even cheaper than what I pay for ball jars at Walmart. Not all of the sizes are like that, but some of them are. So what I got this time are cases of 1/2 gallon wide mouth, and I got these 1.5 pint jars wide mouth. The 1/2 gallon are great for storing dry goods. I store a lot of different things in 1/2 gallon jars, things like chia seeds, things like salt, I mean, all sorts of things. They can also be good for doing some pickling and fermenting and things like that if you do any of that. Now, these 1.5 pint jars, I'm going to get one out to show you. The 1.5 pint jars I absolutely love. These Ball used to make them. They discontinued them for a while, then they brought them back, I believe, and I stocked up on as many as I could get my hands on during that time, and then they discontinued them again. So they are like a wide mouth pint, but they're taller. So these are great for things like if you do pickled asparagus or even canned asparagus and you like to do whole spears, these can be great for if you do dill beans and you have some longer beans. They can be good for meatloaf if you want like a straight-sided jar, but you don't want just a pint. And really anything that you can if you need this amount. Some families, a pint is too little for them and a quart is too much for them with a vegetable or a meat. And so this can be the perfect size. They also make really great drinking glasses as well if you like to drink out of mason jars. Now, one thing I like about Azure Standard jars, they're very strong and sturdy. Their printing is sort of sunk in rather than bumped out. So if you use labels on the fronts of your jars, like I like to do, it doesn't affect your labels as much as like ball jars. And these also come with superb lids, which are really, really good quality lids if you buy them with lids. That's another thing I like about their jars, is that they're available with lids or without lids. So if you have a ton of lids and you don't need the lids, you can pay less to get them without. But I did the math, and it's actually cheaper, you know, per lid to buy the jars with the lids on them than it is to buy the lids in bulk, which I do. So I usually buy my jars with the lids on just to get extra lids and rings. But these jars are absolutely wonderful. If you've never shopped Azure before, I do have a video all about my first experience shopping Azure. I've been now shopping with them for a few years. They are a really, really great family-owned company with great values, and they have really great quality standards as well. Here I've got a couple other pantry noodle products that are sort of similar to the ramens. This one is a ramen, and this one actually probably really isn't a prepper pantry item as much because this does not have hot water instructions, and I don't know how it would work with hot water, but you could take this out of this container and put it into a pan and cook it, you know, over an emergency stove. So this could be used. This was just a new flavor, orange chicken, that I thought my kids might really like, so I wanted to try it. And I threw it up here because it was with all the other stuff. And then I found this jalapeno mac and cheese. I found several different flavor varieties lately of this Kraft mac and cheese. I mean, this is such a classic kid and teen food and a very common prepper pantry item to have. I even like Kraft mac and cheese. I mean, I don't eat it often because I avoid things like that, but it is tasty. The one thing to remember with these type of mac and cheeses is that you do need butter and milk. So if you don't have something like that in your prepper pantry, it's not going to be as tasty. There are other options you can use, but consider that when you're looking at packaged meals like this. Now, all of these noodle things and the ramen cups, I did buy at least 2 of each, which I like to do when I'm trying something new. I just like to have 2. So if I try one and then I want to use it for something, I have another one. But I just put 1 of each up here on the counter. Next, I got some different mason jar accessories. These I get from a place called Mason Jar Lifestyle. Love this store. They have so much cool stuff, like stuff I've never seen before. They have such an endless variety. So I got these. These are silicone, and these are like sleeves for the jars for different sizes. I got, I already have a bunch of these, but I wanted to get a few more. They have them for every size jar you could imagine. These are all the way from a 1/4 pint jar, 1/2 pint jar. These are for those 1.5 pint jars. And I like to have these because I like to use mason jars for snacks a lot. We're trying to get away from plastics and use more non-toxic materials like glass and stainless steel. And some things that we snack on a lot, like freeze-dried fruits and vegetables, do a lot better if they're stored airtight. And so I love to put snacks like that into little mason jars for my kids. Just package them up like that. They're all prepackaged. They're not going to get any kind of air or moisture to them. But I don't like them taking glass jars with them, especially to school or to places like the outdoor basketball court where there's, cement on the ground. So this allows me to put a snack into a glass canning jar and have something over that glass canning jar so that it's less breakable. And I just really like that. This one is the 1/4 pint. This is like a half little mini jelly jar. I do 1/2 pint sometimes for bulkier snacks, like, freeze-dried strawberries, for instance, are pretty bulky. So I use these larger containers, or for a kid that needs a larger snack. And then one like this for the 1.5 pint. This is great if you like to use these for drinking glasses. Like I mentioned, you can just have something that makes it less breakable, makes it easier to grip, easier to hold. It's going to protect your hand from like moisture and heat and cold if you have a hot or cold drink in the jar. So these are really handy for this. Another thing that's great about these is they do block the light from the majority of the jar. So eventually I would love to get these for a lot of my freeze-dried meals in a jar, but I just haven't been able to get there yet. They're not super expensive, but they're not super dirt cheap either. So I'm not going to go out and buy like 100 of them at a time. And another thing that I got was these mason jar couplers. So you can see that it has screw threading on both sides for mason jars. It does have this silicone gasket to make it leak proof. So if I do have a snack in a jar like this, I can just screw that on here, and then I can screw another one on the other side. So I could either have 2 different snacks, or I could have, say, like a veggie and a dip, or fruit and like apples and peanut butter or something like that. You can, if you have something like dip, like say you had ranch dip or guacamole or something, you can put a lid onto the jar and this will still go onto it, so that it's already going to be leak proof with the silicone gasket. But if you don't want to have a mess on here, you can put a lid onto the jar. So these are really, really handy for snacking. So I got a couple more of these couplers. And then I got some sprouting lids that I can use on mason jars I already have. I really like this one because it has the little legs so that it can have drainage underneath if you put it upside down. And then this is a 3-pack of lids that you can use for sprouting as well. And then the final thing that I got from there was these plastic storage lids. Now, I like these so much better than the ones that I used to get at Walmart that are just the white plastic, and they're just storage lids. They're not for canning, but the ones you get from Walmart, they don't even have any kind of a leak-proof gasket, so they do leak. And this is one that I already had, so this is out of the box. You can see it has a silicone seal on the inside. This is a separate piece. It does come out. It has a little tab here so that you can easily get it out, and it pops back in. And this makes these lids like airtight and watertight if you're using them just for storage, not for canning. So that is really good. For instance, like if I open up a jar of homemade salsa or spaghetti sauce and we don't use it all, I put it in the fridge, and if that gets tipped over, then the liquid will leak out. So these are leak proof. And I got them for both regular and wide mouth jars. I did get some more of this canned butter that was such a good price at Walmart when I got my last 6-pack. I really thought about what a good deal it was, and it was still on sale, so I did grab another 6-pack because these are 12-ounce cans. So that's the equivalent of 3 sticks of butter in each of these cans. So this is not butter powder. This is actual butter, real butter. You can see the ingredients here, cream and salt. So it is butter inside of this can. Some people were noticing that the expiration date is not super far out, but honestly, I use things in cans like these years and years past their dates. I would not hesitate to use this past its dates. But really, this is the equivalent of 3 sticks of butter per can. And in the 6-pack, just the 6-pack has this really good pricing. It is just under $40, I believe, for the 6-pack. So that's a really good price, honestly. So hopefully the sale is still going on. I will put a link down below that you can follow and see if the sale is still going on, because this has been going on for a while, but it's a really great deal. And next, I've got my freeze-dried items. Now you can see that I did buy a lot this time. I bought in bulk because there was a big sale, a really good sale. So I got some really good prices, stocked up on some of our favorites and things that we really needed. You can see I got a couple of different sizes of cans. I got the large cans, which are family cans. Those are about gallon size versus the smaller cans, which are about quart size. I do prefer to usually buy in the gallon size when I can because it's usually a better savings, but some things aren't available in those sizes and some things, for various reasons, I get smaller cans. So you can see I've got strawberries back there, and I got a lot of strawberries. So I've got a dozen cans of those, and I got so many because it was an amazing deal. They were 50% off, and for that price, and we go through a lot of these. My kids love this as a snack, and honestly, I would so much rather than be snacking on strawberries than a lot of the other crunchy things they could be snacking on. And for the price, for 50% off, when I've seen them go on sale for prices like that, I have actually gone to the store, here in Maine at that time and bought clamshell strawberries at the store, sliced them up, measured how many sliced strawberries I got from that clamshell versus the price I paid. And I literally could not buy fresh strawberries and freeze dry them myself for the price I was paying for these cans in the quantity that is in the cans. And I didn't have to do the work myself. And honestly, at this time of year, the kind of strawberries we're getting in our grocery store here in Maine are not good quality. They're not good at all. They have no flavor and no color. So this is the way to go for us. Not to mention, if my daughter asked me to buy strawberries at the store, I bring them home, I wash them, I put them in the fridge. Within a couple of days, she doesn't want them anymore, what's left, because they're all wrinkly and they're not good anymore. So these are not going to go bad. And I definitely want to have a good stash in my food storage because it's something that we do enjoy, we do like to have, and it's something we wouldn't be able to really have all year round in Maine if we weren't able to get to the grocery store. So this is an important thing for us to have. And then, of course, I got broccoli. I got 6 cans of the broccoli. These are the large cans. This is one of our absolute favorite items because we love broccoli. We like it in a lot of different dishes. We like to snack on it. We like to have it in Alfredo and stir fries and casseroles, all sorts of things. And it's also a very, very healthy, one of the most nutritious vegetables. But there's no other way really that I'm going to have broccoli in my pantry, in my shelf-stable food storage, other than freeze-dried. It really can't be canned, not with any type of quality preservation, and even dehydrated, it's just not the same thing. So this is beautiful florets. They're delicious. It's one of my favorite things to even just snack on dry, just right out of the can, or you can dip them in hummus, dip them in ranch, whatever you want. But really, you can also put them in your dishes so that no matter what happens out there in the world, you can have broccoli in your casseroles, in your pasta, in your stir fries, wherever you need broccoli. So that's why this is one of my favorite items. And then I got these couple of sauces. So these are the smaller cans. These are sauce mixes. These are 2 of my favorites and most used. This one right here is an absolute standout. This is one of my most favorite items to have in my shelf-stable pantry, and I'll tell you why. So this says tomato sauce, but it's actually more than just tomato sauce. It's more like a spaghetti sauce, a marinara, like a seasoned sauce. It's not like a can of tomato sauce like you'd buy at the store. So this is a complete spaghetti sauce, basically, and I've never seen a product like this before. You can find spaghetti sauce mixes at the store, but they're just the seasoning mixes that you add to your own tomato products. This is a complete sauce. All you add to this is water, and it turns into a beautiful, beautiful marinara sauce. So it's something that I have never ever seen before anywhere else. It's a great space saver for my prepper pantry because it condenses it down really. So a 1/4 cup of this mix, this is, like I said, it's about a quart size can. A 1/2 cup of this mix is going to make 2 cups of sauce or a little bit more. So that's going to give me a much larger volume of sauce and a much smaller storage space. Yes, you have to have water, but that should be the very first part of your food storage plan, is storing a good amount of water and knowing where you can find water and how you can filter and clean the water that you can gather. So this is a great space saver. It's also a great waste saver because I can make the amount that I need at any given time, and I don't have to have a whole jar of sauce open if all I need is enough for 1 serving or whatever the case may be. So those are the reasons why I love this, but I also love it because it is really good tasting. Like, we love the taste of it because all those other things wouldn't matter if we didn't like the taste of it, and we really do love it. I think it's a really tasty sauce. Mr. Wicked Prepared loves this. He says it's the closest he's ever had to his Grammy's homemade sauce in a store-bought product. So this is, for me, a must-have in the prepper pantry and just in my pantry in general. I find that I tend to overlook it and not kind of sing its praises enough, or just kind of take it for granted, and then I realize how amazing it is. So I got a 10 pack of this because also, if this were ever to be discontinued, I would be really, really sad. And that is something that, you know, that's another reason that I keep a food storage and a prepper pantry, because it gives me a cushion against something that I really rely on being discontinued. And this does have a 10-year shelf life. And we know anything sealed in a can is going to stay good a lot longer than that. So I know I can stock up on a lot of this and not worry about it going bad. The other sauce, this is basically a chicken gravy. It's called velouté, which is the fancy French name for a chicken gravy. And this sauce I really, really love. It has a unique flavor. I use it in a lot of my meals in a jar. I did a video once where I tried to copycat some of these sauces, including this one. And I also did the white sauce and the beef gravy. The beef gravy, I was able to get spot on. The white sauce, I actually liked my version better. This sauce, I was not able to get anywhere close, and this was much better. And so I always like to make sure I have this, because if I use this sauce in, say, my meal in a jar, that's going to have that distinct flavor. If I had to switch to a different gravy mix, it's not going to taste the same. So I got a 10 pack of these as well. And I just love that there's 5 sauces altogether. These are 2 of them. These are probably my 2 favorite and most used and irreplaceable. And I love that they're all gluten-free and they're all non-GMO too. So they're really great to have on hand. And then the final item that I got here is a chef pack starter. So this is the smaller cans, and this comes as a set. So you get some savings by buying it as a set. So this has all of these ingredients that are going to work together in meals of a certain type. So this is the Skillet Starter. So this would be for skillet meals. So it has a couple of meats. It has chicken slices, which that's my absolute favorite freeze-dried chicken. It's amazing. And then it has the freeze-dried hamburger, which is another one that we really like. And then it also has chopped onions. That is one of my most commonly used items, whether it's meals in a jar or regular cooking. Chopped onions go in everything. It has mashed potato, peas, carrots, and broccoli and red peppers. So this means that you kind of have everything you need to throw together a lot of different skillet meals. And when you buy these packs, it comes with a little card with a QR code that you can scan, and it takes you to a collection of different recipes to give you ideas of where to start with these foods. So the great thing about this is you can have these on hand because they've got a 25-year shelf life in the can. And once you open the can, they've got 1 to 2 year shelf life. So you can just have them on hand, and you can just open it up and shake a little bit into your dish and, you know, cook your dinner. And you saved yourself a ton of time, and you're also learning to cook with this food that you're storing, because so many people want to store freeze-dried food because it does have the longest shelf life. It does have the most nutrition. It does have the best quality. So many people want to store it, but a lot of people just stick it away in their closet or their garage or their shelf, and that's it. They don't learn to cook with it. So you don't want to be in a situation where all of a sudden you are in an emergency and you're like, okay, I need to use my food storage, but you don't know how to use it, or you open it up and you find there's things that you don't like and you stored a year's worth of it. This way you get to try things, see what you like before you decide what you're going to store. So it's really a great concept. And then I do have one more item hiding back here because I only got one of these, I guess. It is a country white dough mix. So this is a bread dough mix complete. The only thing you add is water and yeast. And it makes like a white bread, but you can also make like focaccia with it. You can make things like pizza crust. I use this in my chicken broccoli stromboli meal in a jar that I made a couple weeks ago that was amazing. Now this is a little bit spendy for bread. That's why I didn't buy a ton of it, but I do like to have it on hand. It's all pre-measured. It's all pre-packaged. It's sealed up in a can, so I know it's going to last for, a good long while, and it's just easy and ready to go. So I did want to at least grab one when they were on sale. Now, the sad part is that this sale is over, and it was a really, really good sale. As you can see, I got a lot of stuff. Like I said, I got some stuff at 50% off. It was amazing. But they do have different things on sale every month, and there is a sale alert system that you can sign up for, so that when the prices drop or they put out a new coupon, you'll hear about that in plenty of time to take advantage of it. So I'll put that information down at the bottom of the screen and then in the description box below, so that you can sign up for that if you would like to stock up on some really good freeze-dried food at the absolute best prices. And the other thing that you can do to save a lot of money on it anytime you want is becoming a consultant. That's what I did, because it really is the best way to buy the food. You get free credit back on your own orders that you can use on your next month's orders. And so you can get a ton of free food, especially if you sign up right now, because they are doubling that free credit for at least the next 3 months for people who sign up right now. And that can add up to a really lot of free food. I have gotten so much free food over the years by doing this. And then it also gives you that option for a little bit of an extra income stream if you should ever need it. And if you are interested in learning about cooking with freeze-dried food, whether you have been storing it and you just want to learn how to use it, or whether you've been using it for a while and you just want to kind of expand your repertoire, or whether maybe you don't know if you want to store it because you don't really know much about it. There are some free kind of cooking classes that I've been going to every week and every month that are open to anybody who's interested. So I'll have a link down below to where you can go and find out the times and dates and stuff for those. They're virtual by Zoom, so you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to leave your house. Just tune in and watch and learn. So I will put those links down below as well. So I've got a few more things over here. This is apple cider vinegar packets, single serve packets. Now this is the apple cider vinegar with the mother. So this is the, I can't remember what you call that. But I like to have single serve packets of things for preparedness purposes, and for a lot of the time for my meals in a bag, because I like to have every single ingredient for the whole meal in the bag, and then you use the whole container. So you wouldn't put a whole jar of vinegar in one single meal. So you might use this serving size, which is probably a tablespoon. I'm not sure exactly how much this is. You need a small amount. Of course, apple cider vinegar with the mother also has health benefits, and it's good for your chickens, your ducks, your animals, yourself, all sorts of different things. So this is just a really handy way to have small amounts if you may only need a small amount. And then this next bunch of stuff I got from Azure Standard. These I saw, and I love chocolate covered nuts. Nuts are one of my favorite snacks. Add chocolate to it, and I like it that much more. These are chocolate covered hazelnuts. I love hazelnuts. I eat them every day. And so I thought dipped in chocolate, they would be even better. The only thing disappointing about this is it's a pretty small bag, but it's typical size for a product like this. The carbs aren't too bad because it's like a dark chocolate with a high % of cocoa, and it's got some fiber that you're going to subtract out of that. So this was a snack I wanted to try. Then I got this bag of coconut cream powder. I get coconut cream powder and coconut milk powder from Azure Standard. I think they were out of the coconut milk powder when I ordered this. I think that's why I got this one only, because usually I get both. This is, they have bulk savings. You can buy in different sizes of packaging. And this gives a really good creaminess to like meals in a jar, or if you just need a dry powder, something to add creaminess to a lot of dishes and not have to worry about the rest of a can of coconut milk or a bottle of cream or anything like that that's going to go bad before you use it. So I actually buy these mostly for my meals in a jar that have all the ingredients dry inside, and you just have to add water. So this is really handy to have. And then I got these couple bottles of pumpkin seed oil. So this is something that's new to me. This is something I wasn't really very familiar with. It was not on my radar. And I can't even remember where I read about this, but I think I first read about it when it came to pets, because you definitely also need to prep for your pets if you have any, which we have plenty. We have 6 dogs and bunch of cats and ducks and chickens and all that stuff. So I looked into it and I found this pumpkin seed oil on Azure Standard. You can see this bottle here. It did kind of leak a little bit on its journey. So it kind of got a little bit of oil here, and I'm not really too worried about it. Azure Standard is really good about, refunding you or making things right if something happens in transit, but I'm not going to make a big deal about that. It is sealed. It does have a seal. I think it just somehow leaked. But pumpkin seed oil for pets, it actually does a lot of the same things that a fish oil would do. That's really good for them. It's good for their joints. It's good for their coat. It's good for their heart. It's good for their everything, all kinds of stuff. But it has the added benefit of being anti-parasitic, so it can fight against worms. So this was something that I wanted to try. And then I saw the human version. Now this is organic and it is cold pressed, which is much better in seed oils. And I actually was reading about the health benefits of pumpkin seed oil, and I had to print it out to read it to you guys because it is so incredible. So it says that on top of its wonderfully rich flavor, so pumpkin seed oil is good for like salad dressings, for dipping bread and things like that because it has a great flavor. It also has a lot of health benefits, encourages healthy prostate and bladder function, as well as lowering cholesterol, been shown to ease arthritis and prevent the formation of kidney stones, as well as providing benefits to skin and hair, discourages acne, increases collagen production, moisturizes hair, and blocks DHT, which is known to cause hair loss. So it's got like all of these different vitamins and minerals that it's got, and health benefits: lowered cholesterol, heart health, prostate, bladder, skin and hair, arthritis. So I thought that was pretty incredible. So this is something new that I'm trying out in our pantry. This Dorothy Lynch Homestyle dressing and condiment, I just stumbled across this on Sam's Club actually when I was placing an order from Sam's Club. I think it's very similar to like a creamy French dressing. It is a dressing. I found some recipes for like a macaroni salad that uses this in it that sounded good. And I just read a lot of really kind of good reviews of it and people really seem to like it. So I just thought I would try it. I love trying different sauces, condiments, dressings, things like that, to just sort of vary our tastes and our dishes. So if you've ever tried this before, let me know how you like it and let me know how you use it, because this is something new to me as well. And then I've got a few more pet items right here. Like I said, we always prep for our pets. They are part of our family, and that includes storing extra food for them, storing extra water for them. Don't forget about extra water for your pets when you're figuring the amount of water to store. And it also includes their medical and first aid supplies and all of their supplements and natural health, like holistic health items to keep them healthy. Because especially in an emergency where you might not be able to have veterinary care, just like with us, you might not be able to get to the doctor, the dentist, the hospital. We need to take care of those things. So these are just a couple things that we use regularly that we needed to restock and sort of get an advanced supply on. This is something that we've recently started using, and it's doing wonders for our dogs, like for their teeth, their how their teeth kind of look. And it's also been great for their breath, because honestly, with 6 dogs, I had to come to the realization that no, I'm not going to be brushing their teeth every day like you're theoretically supposed to. It's just not going to happen, as much as I love them. And so this is something that we use that has been really helping with that. It is a treat, like a chew, which is good because I've tried a powder before and it seemed to work okay, but it was a real pain in the butt to give to them. This is a treat I just give to them. And, if they aren't that excited about it, some of them, I will just crumble it on their food and it's gone and it works great. And this is like a probiotic gut and digestion supplement that really, really works well as well. We like to give this to them regularly if we can, but at least I need to have this on hand for if they have an upset tummy, because sometimes one of the dogs will have that and they are not feeling good. They're not eating their food. They're, having messes, and this really helps. So I definitely have this on hand and have extra to have a supply for emergencies. And it also helps with like their immunity and things like that, which is, you really want to keep your pets and yourself in top health condition as much as you can, because that's a really big part of being prepared. And I do always try to get at least 3 items, because when we order, if we have 3 items, we can get free shipping if I put them on my auto ship. So that is how we get the best pricing on that. So here I've got a few things from Dollar Tree. Honestly, I hadn't been in Dollar Tree as much lately as I usually do. I went in, I found a whole bunch of new stuff, so I'm thinking I might have to go and do a whole Dollar Tree shopping trip and prepper pantry haul from Dollar Tree. So let me know if you're interested in coming along with me for that. But this is, in my opinion, one of the best prepping items that they have at Dollar Tree, and it is their shelf-stable milk. They have got all sorts of different kinds of milk, from whole milk to, different fat levels in skim. They've got chocolate milk, they've got oat milk, they've got almond milk, they've got all different kinds of milk. These are shelf-stable. They are shelf stable for a good year plus. They are not going to be like long-term shelf stable. You're going to want an instant milk powder for that. Like, I store a lot of instant milk powder that has a 25-year shelf life. I don't have to worry about that. But this is great to have on hand for really quick, especially like if you just wake up and you realize you're out of milk, or your milk has gone bad or something like that, or you just wake up, the power's out, you weren't expecting it, you need something quick to eat, you just want to have a bowl of cereal or something. These are great to have on hand. Just make sure that you're cycling through them so that they do get used up within a year and a half or so. They're also great to keep on hand if you have maybe grandkids who come visit who aren't always with you, and you never know when they're going to want a bowl of cereal or some chocolate milk or something. So you just have these on hand. Each one of these is a quart. My Dollar Tree does have the chocolate milk in a single serve box, like an 8-ounce box. It's a pack of 3. And I wish that they had that in the regular milks. That would be so handy for like meals in a bag, and for people who don't use a lot of milk and maybe wouldn't be able to use up a quart in an emergency without having to refrigerate some, or, just wouldn't need a quart before it would go bad. That's where instant milk powder can come in handy, because just like with the tomato sauce that I talked about, you can mix up exactly the amount you need, whether it's a quarter cup or, a half a cup or 5 cups, whatever you need, you mix up just what you want. But these are really handy to have as well. And then another item from Dollar Tree is these Pasta Zing. This is a new brand, and I was kind of excited they got these. These are pre-cooked, shelf-stable pasta. So they're already cooked, so they're not going to waste any water. They are a microwave product, but you can just as easily open these up and just put them into a pan and heat them that way if you were in an emergency without electricity. And you also need to keep in mind that there are lots of different types of emergencies, and not all of them include having the grid down or the power out. So lots of different times that we might need shelf-stable food at home that we might be able to use a microwave. This is actually 2 servings of pasta in here, but let's face it, a hungry person could eat this whole pack. These are great for bug out bags and things like that because they're very portable. If you needed a meal in an emergency, you could open up one of these. You could whip up just a small amount of sauce and you could heat it in a pan and you could have a meal. If you have a college student or a young person who's on their own who might just need a quick small meal and not need to cook a whole large meal and have leftovers, this is a great thing to give to them as well. So these are a really, really nice item that I'm excited about. Back here, I've just got some nuts. We do store a lot of nuts in the prepper pantry. It's something I snack on every day, different kinds of nuts. These rosemary and sea salt are delicious. They're a really good snack that I like to have. I get these and the dill pickle flavor. So this is just another bag that we're adding to the pantry. Nuts won't store for a really long time because of the fats. They will go rancid. So we cycle through those within, a year or 2. And then I got a couple of new canned soups. I think this one, it doesn't say new. Maybe I've just never seen it before. I think it's new. It's got this cool shiny can. It's a Progresso, which I tend to not love Progresso soups, but I thought I would give this one a try. It sounds good. This Pitmaster, it's a whole line that they have. So this is sausage and beer cheese with potatoes. Sounds good to me. Cheesy. This does say new. So this is a new Campbell's Chunky. This is a Texas style barbecue burger. So that sounded good as well. And these are both, you can see, thick kind of soups, maybe cheesy kind of soups that would be a good meal on their own, but you can also dump them over rice, instant mashed potato, things like that, and make a heartier meal if you needed to feed more people. Got a couple seasonings here. I love seasonings, and I just did a video about the top 10 most important seasonings and spices for your prepper pantry. And Italian seasoning was one of them. This is a different version of Italian seasoning. This is a Mediterranean blend. I just love having all sorts of different options. And then I got a taco seasoning. We go through a ton of this. You could make your own taco seasoning. A lot of people do. I don't usually make my own taco seasoning, but I just buy whatever is cheapest in a bulk package, and we measure out a quarter cup is about equivalent to 1 packet of mix usually. So we use that in all sorts of things, from tacos to casseroles to everything. And then here, this is another Sam's Club item. So I got some chocolate chips. I got 3 of these bags. They're 4.5 pound bags. So it's a good amount of chocolate chips. We just really needed a restock on chocolate chips. These will stay good for quite a while. I mean, I'm sure they don't say that they will. I have had chocolate chips for several years that have been fine for things like cookies and pancakes, all sorts of things. My kids love chocolate chip pancakes, and pancakes is a really good prepper pantry meal to have on hand if you just have a just add water mix. And if you needed to sweeten it up with something like chocolate chips, it could really help kids get through an emergency. And cookies. I mean, I have got the canned butter, I have got scrambled egg powder, and everything else is shelf stable. And yes, I do have a propane camp oven. We could totally have cookies if the power was out. I also got a few bags of these. These are regular size bags. I wish they sold them in a 4.5 pound bag. These are 0 sugar peanut butter chips, Reeses, and these are so delicious. I try to avoid carbs and extra sugar, and these are one of my go-to sweet treats, dessert kind of things. They're so good. They taste like peanut butter fudge, just a very small handful. Eat them 1 or 2 at a time, and they will really satisfy a sweet craving with not a lot of net carbs and not a lot of sugar. Now, some people would rather have natural sugar than they would have, artificial sweeteners or sugar alcohols or whatever. But some people do have to avoid sugar for various reasons. So if you are one of those people, this is a good sweet treat option. I like these, and I like the Lily's sugar-free chocolate-covered almonds. Those are my 2 go-to sweet treats. Next, I got a box of minute rice. This is instant white rice. This is a really big box. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's like a 72 ounce. Yeah, it's a 72 ounce box. I buy this from Amazon. It seems to be the best price that I can usually find, and it's not very expensive. It's just a few dollars, and it's something I use a lot of. I have a lot of meals in a jar that use minute rice. And the great thing about those meals is that you don't even really have to cook them. You can just put them in boiling water and let them sit, and they'll be done. So they're great for emergencies. You can make them in little pouches and make your own little emergency survival backpacking meals. You can make them in small mason jars and have a single serve meal that you can take to the office or wherever you need it. And this is one of those items, Amazon, I use Amazon Subscribe and Save. Like anytime I can use an auto ship program to cut down my costs, I will use it because they're usually not very scary. Usually you can skip, you can cancel, you can do whatever you want. You're not necessarily locked in to always getting something or always getting the same thing. I use an auto ship, like I mentioned, for the pet products. I use an auto ship for my freeze-dried products. They all have different names, but they're all the same type of program, and they're all a way to save money. So with Amazon Subscribe and Save, there's usually 2 levels of discount, and you need to have 5 items in your single shipment to qualify for the second level of discount. So if I don't have 5 items, then sometimes I will push it off to the next week. But if it's something I need right away, then I will add some small low-cost items that I know I'm going to use. And this minute rice is one of them. Because like I said, I use a lot of it. It's very inexpensive. So I can add this onto my Subscribe and Save order to get the top discount with 5 items. Back there in the back, I've got 2 boxes. They just look like cardboard boxes. What those are is more pet items. Those are puppy pads or potty pads, whatever you want to call them. These are from Amazon. This is something that's important if you do have pets, to think about, what you're going to do if there's ever a time that they can't go out of the house for whatever reason, a bad storm, a dangerous situation, stuck inside for whatever reason. You want to have things like this on hand for them. This is just one option. There's several different options. This is something, we have a very elderly dog who I need to keep these on hand for her anyways. So we make sure that we have plenty so that we have enough for emergencies in the future if we were to not be able to get them from the store. It's a box of 40 and a box of 60. I don't know how I ended up with that. I thought I got 2 of the same, but definitely think about that. And then the last few things I have over here. So I've got some personal care items, obviously. I've got this is clarifying shampoo. This is Suave. It's a cheap brand, but we do use this. I do not recommend buying cheap anything with the idea that you will use it if it's an emergency and you're desperate, because what ends up happening is you never get that desperate and those things go to waste. So I only buy things that we typically use every day, and I just buy extra of it. Clarifying shampoo, this is kind of made to strip away extra oils and extra residues and things from your hair. So in general, everyday use, I only use this in my hair maybe once a week, just to keep it extra squeaky clean. But if you were in an emergency situation where you maybe didn't get to bathe as often because there was no hot running water, you would want something that was going to, number one, strip out that extra grease and oils and dirt and odors, and number two, rinse easily and cleanly and not leave a lot of residue in your hair. So this would be a great choice. Also, I know we don't really like to think about it, but if you ever had a nuclear emergency situation and you had to wash off some radioactive material, you want to use things that are not moisturizing, not conditioning, things that are like a clarifying shampoo and things like that. So this is another good reason to have that on hand. And then of course, deodorant, just get extra of what your family uses so that you have it on hand. That is one of those things. It may not be an emergency. It may just be a supply chain issue that you can't find what you need. We have a family member who has to have this specific deodorant because anything else and he will break out. And so we wouldn't want to, run out of this. So we make sure to have plenty on hand. And then the last few things I have here, these are just some empty spray bottles. These are really cheap. They're just like $1.25 or $1. And I like having empty spray bottles. They allow me to buy cleaners in bulk, number one, and save money by buying them in just big bulk jugs and just filling my own spray bottles. But the other thing is this can allow you to make your own cleaners, which especially in an emergency, you might end up needing. So, you can do a lot with just vinegar and water, or you can do a lot of disinfecting with a little bit of bleach and water in a spray bottle, all sorts of different cleaners that you can make yourself. So I do like to keep some empty spray bottles on hand for that purpose. One exception to the rule is I did grab this spray bottle from Dollar Tree. This Dollar Tree cleaner is actually really, really good. I think it's one of the standout items at Dollar Tree. Like, this is really good for like those grimy buildups you can get on your kitchen cabinets around your stove because of the grease that gets in the air and the dust sticks to it. And it's really hard to get off. This stuff gets it off, among lots of other things. So this is really good. And I had a spray bottle of it and I broke the spray top. I think it fell off the counter and the spray top broke. So I was like, well, I'll just buy an empty spray bottle to put it in. But then I thought about it, and I can get this at Dollar Tree for $1.25 full of cleaner, or I could get an empty spray bottle for basically the same price. So I figured I would just buy this one full of cleaner, and when this empties out, I will pour the broken bottle into this and use it. So, or I'll probably end up taking the spray top off this and putting it on the other bottle so that I use the older one first, but you get the gist. But that is everything that we have added to our preps and our prepper pantry lately. Thanks for tuning in today. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me a cloud emoji down in the comments and watch this next to see freeze-dried broccoli in action and be mind blown. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.